Welcome to You Are Your Name. I'm Daken Ariel, one of your hosts. I have Marlowe Shearing here as a co-host, and our special guest is Lorenda Bardell. She's the president of the Society of Kabalarians. Thank you for joining us, Lorenda.
It's a pleasure to be here, Daken.
So the question is, relative to mental balance, why does physical well-being require mental balance?
Well, first of all, when we think about physical well-being, what do we think? We know that it's a happy, healthy state of mind, knowing that we're following the rules of right living, that the body is fit, and that the mind should be balanced to one's true purpose in life. When we start to think about it, we realize that there is such a close connection between the mind and the body. For example, something frightens us, and immediately there's the thought of fear, and it puts us in fight or flight mode. And when the body enters fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system releases adrenaline, causing immediate, automatic, and intense physiological changes, such as our heart rate and blood pressure increase, the breathing accelerates, muscles tense, blood sugar rises to fuel muscles for rapid action. And this survival mechanism prioritizes energy for fighting or fleeing over other functions of the body. This is an example of how thoughts affect the body. Now, we often hear people make the statement, thoughts are things or thoughts have wings, without really thinking about what these statements mean. Where do our thoughts come from? And why is there such a close connection to the body? When we think of our thoughts are composed of language in order to form concepts of life. So, in the Kabalarian philosophy is taught the fact that the body is the instrument for the mind. A baby is born and takes its first breath, and the body lives because an intelligent force has been linked to the body through the breath of life. And the day, month, and year we are born determines our purpose in life, which we call the birthpath. Then what creates the mind and the thought patterns of every person? It is the name that is given. The name is a powerful thought. Names are given without the understanding of the ongoing thoughts that the name will create and how it will affect the body over time. The Kabalarian philosophy teaches that the key to a happy, successful, and healthy life is logical thinking. Without the understanding of thought, of which the mind is composed, most attempts to cure sickness deal only with effect and not the cause. One must know the cause to control the effect. And so we rely heavily on our health systems to figure out what is wrong and how to fix health problems, but really not knowing why the problem occurred in the first place. There are many reasons for poor health, but the most important thing to consider is heredity, determined by our family names and the first names we use consistently. Without the understanding of mind, most attempts to cure sickness deal only with the effect and not the cause. One must first understand cause to control the effect. So in the Kabalarian philosophy, there's a strong emphasis placed on the power of words, the power of names, and the need for a name that is in harmony with one's date of birth, a name that has stable, happy qualities, and then to have a basic principle of life to live by that is more than just blind faith, such as the logic of eating proper foods, eliminating bad habits such as drugs and smoking, the importance of daily deep breathing, and the need for peace and relaxation. These are just a few of the tools offered in the teachings of the Kabalarian philosophy. But the most important thing relative to health and why we can take a person's name, analyze that name, and see where the health weakness will show up. They may not show up when we're young, but they'll show up as we age.
There was a point you made that might be a new thought for our listeners, that heredity is relative to the family name. Could you expand on that?
We're born into that family, and that race has been established for years and years. And so that family name has that length of establishing qualities. As Lorenda said, that surname creates that foundation or that family quality. And so born into that family, that first name will allow or not allow those health weaknesses, but those health weaknesses have been established and could be a part of that individual's future.
So a family name might be Ralph, and you work it out mathematically, and it has certain qualities. And we look at that quality, and we know that that family is going to suffer with head tension. It could be the eyes, it could be the ears, it could be the head, headaches, bad migraines, and just problems with the bones. Because when we measure that name mathematically, it comes to a certain mathematical quality. And in analyzing that quality, then the weaknesses in the family would show up. Now, every one of us has a first name. And so the first name would either contribute to that health weakness, or it could be something that's also connected with the first name. But all of that can be told to a person. And that's how important the power of our names are in affecting our physical health.
What are the things that could offset that?
Well, first of all, we say that it's so important that every person have what we call a balanced name. It doesn't mean that a person's unbalanced, but a balanced name is a name that is connected to the potential or the purpose of each person. And in that way, there is a freedom of expression where we know what our path in life is. We have a name that gives us the stability and happiness, confidence to be able to focus our life and to build a happy, constructive life, not experiencing the ups and downs of emotion. Some last names could bring losses to the family, and you think, I work so hard, but why do I suffer losses? Well, that can also be experienced because of the last name.
So that goes to the concept of well-being. So you're saying that balanced name provides that opportunity for that individual to establish a sense of well-being?
That's right. And well-being, of course, it covers more. It's like the logic of our mind to know that we have to eat properly. And in the Kabalarian Philosophy, we teach breathing exercises. Breathing is another powerful energy, and when used, can really add to the health of the body. Happiness is another quality that's so important to good health. But these are all mental concepts that have to be arrived at. That's what's so wonderful about the Kabalarian philosophy, because it's not just something based on faith. It's something that you can take and apply and actually experience the changes and the happiness that results from a certain amount of self-discipline and application.
In the free name reports that are available on our Kabalarians.com website, the name report discusses their mental qualities, their characteristics, the family name, the first name, and the effect of both together. And all of those have an impact on physical well-being, would you say?
Definitely, yes, because the sum total of the two names creates one's destiny. And sometimes that destiny, the experiences we attract are so unsettling. We think, why can't I get my life settled? And yet there's this go, go, go in our life. And we think, why does this happen to me? Why do I suffer bitter experiences? And all of this has an impact on our physical health. And some destinies that people carry, it could be, as I mentioned, losses, or you put so much effort into something and then it just falls apart. All these things create tension in life, and mental tension is really the basis of all sickness and disease.
One point about destiny, I was just looking up the definition, the events that will necessarily happen to a particular person or thing in the future. We use the term destiny number as a reference to the sum total of the names that you use. So if you change your name, you actually change your destiny. It changes the experience that you will attract. It changes your thinking pattern. It changes your ability to create success, your relationships.
When you mentioned about the meaning of destiny, it's about the experiences that we have over time and over life. And that can be measured in your name report or with a consultation with somebody in the office to understand what's ahead for each person, what their future will be like if they continue with a particular mathematical quality that maybe creates unhappiness and dissension in their life.
And that consulting is part of the free name report. So anyone who gets a free name report can call the office and discuss it and get more insight into it. We always talk about balanced names. And people think that unbalanced is related to their thinking, but it's really a reference to mathematics. So the name is mathematically unbalanced. Doesn't mean that you're mentally unbalanced. It means that you're mathematically unbalanced. So it'll have weaknesses that are very distinct and predictable.
Yes, and the fact that it's that name that a person has is unbalanced because it is not balanced to the date of birth. And the date of birth reveals our natural aptitudes, where we should head in life in this finite plane we live in, and where we would find our greatest happiness.
We could think of a 5 birth path and give them a 134 name, and that name then lacks the expression and it lacks the ability to have perception in their thinking. And so that 5 quality, that birth path potential, is to find new truths. But that 134 traps that mind into step-by-step thinking, and without that bigness or that broadness, lacking expression. And so then it's a frustration. There is no opportunity for the expression of that birth path. When we talk about physical well-being, another thought might be stability, and that opportunity for that expression of that spark within, that birth path quality, brings that greater relaxation because there's a harmony. And I think that might be a word to describe that quality of mental balance.
And so every name that is given to a person through the Kabalarian philosophy has those qualities of stability and happiness. Yes, we still have to work. And also, when we have a name for so many years, habits of mind develop. So when a new name is given, there's a certain amount of effort that's required. But it's amazing in such a short period of time, the changes that can take place in people's lives through that name change.
You mentioned earlier about cause and effect. Medical science is just brilliant at looking at the effect and treating the effect. But what do you mean by looking at the cause?
A person may have a heart condition, and we think, well, where does that come from? Well, there's many reasons, but many times when you analyze a person's name, it's a certain quality that's very sensitive, and the challenges will be relative to their inability to express themselves, a more of a repressed quality, and the weakness of that quality, and it's what we call the 7, is relative to the heart, lungs, and bronchial areas of the body. And even as youngsters, they can suffer with hay fever and asthma and being sensitive to pollens and just oversensitivity, because the name has too much sensitivity and not enough stability, such as the name Marion, Marion, or Carolyn, Carolyn, many names. And there's so much repression, inability to express, and that creates mental tension, and those thoughts affect the physical body.
So we're not suggesting that people ignore medical science, but if they looked at the actual cause by balancing their name, they could get healthier and have more harmony in their physical well-being quicker.
Yes, they could. The Kabalarian philosophy isn't just about your name. We have to make changes in our life, such as I mentioned before, the necessity of eating proper foods and learning how to deep breathe, to build the lung function and to build the energy in the body. There's many things, but at the basis is that balanced name. But there's effort that's required. We don't live for, say, 15, 20 years and think that we're just going to change our name and bingo, we're going to lose the health weakness. It does require a certain amount of effort as well as changing our thinking, which is the most important, but then applying basic laws of right living.
One of the courses that we teach you is healthy living, and the core concepts shared in that course are right eating, right breathing, and right thinking. Really understanding the principles of those is actually essential for creating that physical well-being. So I appreciate all your thoughts. So that concludes our episode for today. We hope to see you next week. Until then, happy thoughts.
Whenever you're ready, here are 3 ways we can help you. Number 1, the Balanced Name Recommendation Service. Join the thousands of others who have harmonized their names with their inner potential to improve their health, happiness, and success. Number 2, learn the principles of mental freedom. Participate in our online training program to gain the essential tools to create all the progressive changes you seek in your life. These proven truths will open up new perspectives and accelerate your attainment of health, happiness, and success. Number 3, let Kalex Solutions help you choose a balanced name for your business, because many business names are an impediment to one's overall business success.